bridge at dusk. Every evening, Emma walked across the old stone bridge that stretched over the quiet river. It had become her ritual after work, a way to breathe, to think, and sometimes, to hope. One late autumn afternoon, the air crisp and touched with gold, she noticed someone standing at the center of the bridge. He leaned against the railing, sketchbook in hand, eyes fixed on the horizon. His dark hair fell into his face, and every so often he'd brush it back with a distracted motion, as though the world around him did not exist. Emma slowed her pace, curiosity tugging at her. She passed by quietly, but the stranger lifted his gaze and caught hers. For a moment, it felt like time paused. He smiled, gentle, unhurried. "Beautiful light tonight," he said, gesturing toward the sky where the last rays of the sun spilled like watercolor. She nodded, returning his smile. "It's my favorite time of day." That was how it began. Day after day, they met on the bridge. He was Alex, an artist who painted the world as he saw it, raw, fleeting, and honest. She was Emma, a woman who had always believed love belonged only in stories, until she found herself waiting for dusk just to see him. Their conversation started with the ordinary: weather, work, art. But soon, they became deeper. Dreams spilled into words. Secrets, fears, laughter, all shared beneath the orange-pink sky. Emma learned he carried loss quietly in his chest, the kind that changed the way one breathed. Alex learned she had built walls to keep her heart safe, walls she thought unbreakable. But somehow, with each meeting, those walls crumbled. One evening, as the wind grew colder and the river mirrored the first winter stars, Emma realized she wasn't afraid anymore. She looked at Alex, who was sketching her without asking, his hand moving with reverence as though every line mattered. "You're drawing me," she said softly. He didn't look up. "I've been drawing you since the first day." Her heart stuttered. She stepped closer, the chill of the air forgotten. "Why?" Finally, he raised his eyes, and in them was something that made her breath catch. "Because you're the reason this bridge no longer feels lonely." Emma felt warmth spread through her chest, a quiet certainty she had never known before. She reached for his hand, and he let her take it as though he had been waiting all along. That night, they stood together at the center of the bridge, no longer strangers, but two souls who had found in each other what they didn't know they had been searching for. And as the river carried the reflection of the stars, Emma understood, love didn't always arrive with fireworks or grand gestures. Sometimes, it appeared quietly, waiting at dusk on an old stone bridge. Whispers of the Lake. The summer she turned 22, Emma returned to the small lakeside town she had left years ago. The water was still, reflecting the golden evening light, just as it had when she was 16, when she first met Daniel. Back then, Daniel was the quiet boy who worked at the boat rental shop. He had an easy smile, and eyes that seemed to hold every shade of blue the lake could offer. They spent hours together, rowing across the water, talking about dreams bigger than the town could contain. He wanted to travel the world, she wanted to become a painter. But dreams had taken them in different directions. She left for art school, he stayed, tied to his family business. Their last night together had been filled with promises they were too young to keep. Now, 6 years later, Emma stood on the wooden dock, staring at the boats lined neatly in a row. And then she heard it, his voice. "Emma?" She turned. Daniel looked almost the same, just a little older, a little steadier. For a moment, silence hung between them, heavy with all the words they hadn't said. "I thought I was imagining you," he said finally, smiling faintly. Emma laughed softly. "I wasn't sure you'd still be here." "I couldn't leave," he replied, glancing at the lake. "It's home." They rented a boat, just like before, and drifted into the center of the lake. The sky burned with sunset, painting the water in streaks of crimson and gold. "You still paint?" Daniel asked. "All the time," she nodded. "And you? Do you still dream of leaving?" He shook his head, dipping the oar gently into the water. "I used to think happiness was somewhere far away. But then you left, and I realized it wasn't distance I wanted, it was someone to share the quiet with." Emma's heart ached at his words. For years she had painted the lake from memory, always chasing a feeling she couldn't name. Now she knew, it had been him. The boat rocked gently as Daniel set the oars aside. Their eyes met, and time seemed to collapse into a single moment, as if the years apart had only been a breath. "Emma," he whispered, voice unsteady, "do you think we get second chances?" She reached for his hand, warm and familiar. "Sometimes," she said softly, "I think love waits exactly where you left it." The lake shimmered around them, quiet and eternal, as if it too had been waiting for this. The bridge at dusk. Evelyn had always loved the old stone bridge at the edge of town. Every evening after work, she walked there to watch the sun sink behind the hills, painting the river in hues of gold and rose. It was her place of quiet, a place where she could breathe. One evening, as she leaned against the cool railing, she noticed someone sketching a little further down. A young man sat cross-legged with a notebook, his pencil moving quickly. Curious, Evelyn stepped closer. "Beautiful view, isn't it?" she said softly. The man looked up, startled, then smiled. "It is. But I'm trying to capture more than just the view. The feeling of it." His name was Daniel, an artist who had recently moved to town. He showed her his sketches, lines that somehow held warmth and movement. Evelyn found herself laughing with him easily, as though they had known each other for years. From that day, their paths kept crossing. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes by chance. They walked the riverbank, shared coffee at the small cafe near the square, and spent countless evenings on the bridge, trading stories about their dreams. Daniel wanted to hold an exhibition one day. Evelyn, who worked at a library, confessed she dreamed of writing her own book. "Then write it," Daniel encouraged. "I'll draw the cover." Seasons shifted. Winter came with silver frost, and Daniel showed up with 2 cups of hot chocolate, his breath fogging in the cold air. Spring returned, and Evelyn brought him wildflowers she found along the trail. The bridge became more than a meeting place, it became the heart of their story. One summer dusk, Daniel placed his sketchbook in her hands. On the page was a drawing of the bridge, glowing in twilight. 2 figures stood there, a woman gazing at the horizon and a man looking at her instead. Evelyn's heart caught. "This is us," she whispered. He nodded, eyes soft. "I realized the bridge wasn't the view I wanted to capture. It was you, Evelyn. You make this place alive for me." She closed the sketchbook, tears stinging her eyes, and before words could tumble out, Daniel gently kissed her. The world fell silent except for the rush of the river below. Years later, when people walked by the old bridge, they often saw a couple sitting close, hands entwined, watching the sky change colors. Some said the bridge had become even more beautiful because love had claimed it and refused to let go. The bridge at dawn. Evelyn had always walked the same path to the train station, a quiet route that crossed the old wooden bridge. Every morning, she saw the same man standing there, sketchbook in hand, capturing the sunrise. She never spoke to him, but she always slowed her steps, curious about what he drew. One chilling morning, her scarf slipped from her shoulders, carried by the wind toward the river. Before she could react, the man caught it. He smiled as he handed it back, his fingers brushing hers. "Careless mornings," he said softly. "Or kind strangers," she replied, a smile forming on her lips. From then on, their mornings intertwined. His name was Daniel, an architect who found inspiration in the shifting colors of the sky. She was a literature teacher who loved how light could make even the most ordinary street feel like poetry. What began as short greetings became conversations that stretched until the train whistle called her away. Over weeks, Evelyn noticed how Daniel always carried a thermos. One frosty dawn, he offered her a cup of coffee. It was strong, bitter, yet warming, just like the way his laughter slipped into her heart. She, in return, brought him books she thought he would love. But seasons change. One morning, Daniel wasn't on the bridge. Then another, and another. Evelyn's walks felt emptier, her eyes searching for someone who was no longer there. After weeks of silence, she found a small sketch tucked beneath the railing of the bridge. It was of her, head tilted slightly, scarf dancing in the wind, the first day they truly met. On the corner were words, "I'll be back at dawn." Her heart raced. Every morning after, she returned, hope rising with the sun. And one spring morning, when the cherry blossoms scattered across the bridge, Daniel stood waiting, no sketchbook this time, just open arms. "Did you miss me?" he asked. She smiled, tears bright in her eyes. "I found you in every sunrise." And on that old wooden bridge, with the river whispering below, they began a story neither of them would ever stop writing.